Hello, thanks for tuning in. It's Stuart here, yes, the unrepentant atheist. And this call goes back, to 2022. It's quite an old one. I've been going back over some of the old shows to see if I missed any interesting calls. And there is this one, the question of whether it's acceptable to embrace a belief simply because it makes you happy. Do you remember in The Matrix, we had a character who was sitting down eating a steak and choosing rather rejecting the harshness of reality in favor of an illusion. And he chose that. He said that he knows this steak is not real, but it doesn't stop him from enjoying it and being happy with it. And he preferred that to dealing with reality. So we have seen more and more Christians calling into these shows and admitting that they've got these beliefs because it makes them happy. There are all sorts of arguments against this. There's a slippery slope argument, for example, that if you've got this heuristic, then you could apply it to other areas in your life. I'm not convinced in that one because there are people who will only apply that heuristic to religion, for example, and otherwise lead very rational lives. But let's have a listen to Danny. So Danny's calling in from California, and he's already said to Matt in this call, which lasts about half an hour, you've seen the last 8 minutes here, he said to Matt, look, I've got my beliefs, they make me happy, they make me feel secure, etc. And look at you, you haven't got all that. Now who's the smart one? And then they deal with that. Let's have a listen.
Engaging in special pleading on other positions. You said you value intellectual honesty. I do too. And the difference between us is I value intellectual honesty so much that I will not make exceptions. I will not knowingly make exceptions in skepticism and rationality in order to believe something comforting, but you will.
Well, there's an argument that says, let's just, first of all, I haven't given you my reasons for believing, but let's say that there are yes, you have placed intellectual honesty above all. And I have made an exception, let's say, in the case of belief in God. And that makes me feel better. So if the goal in life is to be happy and to feel secure, which one of us is the smarter person?
Oh yeah.
Me.
Sorry, I that's the one.
All day long, because I didn't buy into the fallacy that because something in the short term makes you feel better, that it is actually the thing that would make you feel better. For example, I feel much better embracing the truth and not lying to myself. The fact that you are willing to engage in self-deception and short-term comfort in a myopic sense, that you are willing to sacrifice intellectual honesty, how much more are you sacrificing that you're not aware of?
I also
I
didn't,
don't know.
I didn't accept the first premise either, that we value intellectual honesty above anything else. Because I've known intellectually honest people who are intellectually also incapable to a certain degree, and it's not their honesty that's preventing them from being right or wrong.
And plus, you know, people who are drunk are really happy for a while.
It's true.
Okay, so your perfect intellectual honesty is 100%, and my intellectual honesty is 95% or 99%.
I didn't say it was. I didn't say it was perfect. I didn't say it was perfect. I just said it was better than yours.
I'm just making.
Yeah, I mean that's a bit like saying that I always look where I'm going when I'm driving. I always pay 100% attention to the road. And he's saying that he only pays 95% attention to the road. Who's smarter? Ask yourself.
Making a comparison. Your intellectual honesty is higher than mine.
Yes,
and
by
yet
your own admission.
We are both equally, yes, yet we are both equally happy. So why should I care?
No,
I doubt that too.
No, Danny, we don't know which one of us is happier, and happiness is something that vacillates over time at different times. And by the way, happiness isn't necessarily the goal.
Yeah, Danny, should we?
Ignorance.
No, it is
ignorance
the goal.
may be,
it absolutely is the goal.
No, it's
It is the
absolutely
goal,
not
and it's your
the goal,
goal,
Danny.
whether you
No, it's not
whether
the
you
goal,
act,
Danny.
whether you
No,
acknowledge
it's
it or
fucking
not.
It's so false to say that happiness is the goal of life. Hitler was happy killing 6 million Jews, and it's such a fallacy. I'm surprised that he is clinging to this, and he fights all the way through the call for this position.
not the goal. You can keep talking over
Yes,
me to
it
try to
is.
say it's the goal, but I'm literally fucking telling you, stop telling me what you think my fucking goal is, because I determine what my goal is, and happiness is not necessarily the fucking goal.
It's everyone's
Stop pretending. Stop pretending you know my brain better than mine.
I actually made a video some time ago focusing on Andrew and Tristan Tate, pointing out that they haven't got good reasons for their belief in the existence of God. One is a Christian, I think one is a Muslim. And they made a video explaining why atheism is a lot of rubbish, etc., etc. And they didn't really seem to have any good reasons for their belief in the existence of God. And I pointed that out and various other criticisms. I had a lot of people, a lot of Tate fans leaving messages on my account saying, well, look at how they live and look at how you live. I mean, as if that is remotely relevant, that they've got dozens of Rolexes, Mercedes, they live a lavish lifestyle, etc. Paid for, it seems, by promoting their cam girls business, which, okay, that's how they make a living. And they've got lots and lots of money. And I live a relatively modest life. I've got a 1-bedroom flat. And, you know, as if that is somehow relevant to the issue of whether or not God exists at all. So their belief in God makes them happy. They get some kind of utility out of it. And I simply don't believe in God because I haven't seen the evidence, and I'm not prepared to fool myself into believing that there is a God just in order to be happy, or even to, if I thought it could somehow, for example, make me more money. It's still, that wouldn't be enough for me to fool myself into believing that there's a God. So happiness is not really, it doesn't really come into it. It's not really a good reason, as they're saying time and time again, but he's rejecting it. He's doubling down time after time on this position.
Oh, it is
Ignorance
the goal.
may be-
It absolutely is the goal.
No, it's
It is the
absolutely
goal,
not
and it's your
the goal,
goal,
Danny.
whether you
No, it's not
whether
the
you
goal,
act,
Danny.
whether you
No,
acknowledge
it's
it or
fucking not the goal. You can keep talking over
Yes,
me to
it
try to
is.
say it's the goal, but I'm literally fucking telling you, stop telling me what you think my fucking goal is, because I determine what my goal is, and happiness is not necessarily the fucking goal.
It's everyone's
Stop pretending you know my brain better than mine, than I do.
You're a human being. You're a human being.
Danny, stop pretending that you know my brain better than I do. Happiness, in its simplistic sense, is not my goal. As a matter of fact, standing up against naive happiness from people like Peter Singer and others is something that I've been doing for years. Please stop pretending that your I'm going to make exceptions to intellectual honesty for happiness ass is in any way more knowledgeable or understanding of what my life goals are. Happiness is
now
a
you're putting
goal.
words in my mouth.
No, sir, I'm not. You sat there and tried to tell me what was most important to me. And then you tried to say, then you tried, no, stop talking. Then you tried to say, you're human, as if by default, all human beings agree on happiness as the goal. You're wrong, sir.
Again, putting words in my mouth.
Okay. Maybe if you weren't so sloppy with the words that came out of your mouth, that wouldn't be so fucking easy.
No. Danny, honestly, the exercise is stupid from the onset because, Danny, wait. I actually don't want you to explain. I want you to call in next week and tell us.
I think the reason he's saying you're straw manning me, you're putting words into my mouth, is because he's in such a embarrassingly irrational position, and it's been demonstrated to him with various examples that he's now just he's trying to get out of the conversation with some kind of not victory, but he's trying to get away without too much of a bruising. So let's just see how it ends.
That's what you believe, because I'm going to tell you the exercise was already stupid because it began as in this standard, who's smarter, who's winning. So Danny, shall we now go find a psychopath who eats people and is a tremendously happy, much happier person than you, and he can explain to you, Danny, why he's winning and his position is better in his cannibalistic psychopathy? Because happiness is the goal, Danny. Happiness is the goal.
Yeah, that's a straw man.
Yeah.
No, sir.
That's a straw.
my
No,
God.
sir. It's an exposition.
He literally said that it makes him happy. His belief makes him happy, and who's smarter? And Jimmy just illustrated that, and he accused him of a straw man.
It's an exposition of your naive, simplistic statement about happiness, something that we've already thought of and talked about many, many times before, which is why I instantly,
You mean the
immediately,
statement that you're not going to let me
I'm still fucking
clarify?
talking, Danny. I still immediately, instantly, reflexively.
You mean the statement that
denounce-
you're not going to
denounce
let me
your-
clarify?
Here, I'm going to put your ass on mute so that I can finish a fucking sentence without you trying to talk over me on my own fucking show. I immediately rejected your assertion, and it troubled you so much that you couldn't even let me finish rejecting your assertion without diving in to try to talk over me about what your naive notion of happiness was and how all of us are in it because I'm human. Now, what would you like to say?
I'm sorry. What's the question on the table?
I don't have a question for you, Danny. I don't give a fuck what you say, but I wanted you to be able to say what you thought you weren't going to be allowed to say.
Okay. Here's what I meant when I said that all humans pursue happiness. All human beings are in the pursuit of a sense of well-being. What brings them that you can use well-being as a substitute for the word happiness. But everybody,
you can't,
every
and
human,
not.
whether you're talking about a masochist or whether you're talking about a Pollyanna, every human being is in pursuit of a sense.
Okay, Danny, I muted you.
Yeah, so obviously whether that is true or not, I don't really see how it's too relevant, because the main issue is that he's claiming that he's in pursuit of happiness, and he's prepared to be irrational in order to be happier. That's the question. Just as it is the question in the case of the Matrix. I mentioned the Matrix earlier. Was he justified in accepting a life of illusion and denying reality in order to be happy? And in his case, he was. Obviously, in the case of many theists, they prefer to believe in a fantasy in order to be happy, which I suppose in a way is denying the truth of reality. Whether that's a good thing or not, I personally don't think it is, but a lot of people seem to be prepared to make that sacrifice in order to be happy.
Okay, Danny, I muted you. I have one question, because that way we don't have to talk over to each other. Does someone who is suicidal, are they in pursuit of happiness at that moment?
You cut out.
Is someone who is suicidal pursuing happiness at that moment?
I'm sorry, you're cutting out. Please.
I think that Matt is trying to falsify his claim that all human beings are in pursuit of happiness.
Say again.
Okay, no, we're not.
No, we're not cutting
this is
out.
bullshit.
You're full of shit.
Yeah, I don't think that he's cutting out either, because he went down this road that once he'd been backed into a corner and he was doubling down, it was going nowhere good for him, because he was being proven wrong time and time again. And then he said, if you'd let me make my statement, you're straw-manning me, which he wasn't being straw-manned. Jimmy characterized his position quite well. And now he's saying you're cutting out, because he's just seen his position that all human beings are in pursuit of happiness falsified by Matt's question. So that's about it, really. But I mean, after the call ended, they went on a bit, and Matt did make this very good point that if you're going to accept a fantasy in order to increase your level of happiness, you're denying the truth of reality. So instead of dealing with reality as it is, you're embracing a fantasy. And I suppose Sartre, for example, would say you're not living an authentic life. And for me, I want to live an authentic life, even if that leads to misery. I'd rather do that than live in a make-believe world. Okay, well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.